Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming. My name's Captain Anderson. I'm the author of the Survivor's Manifesto. This is a book that's a practical plan to put our government, our economy, and our communities on a path to a sustainable future. And there's a very good reason that I put government first, because if we don't fix the government, we're not going to be able to do anything with anything else. Now, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to think of me as the little boy in the crowd who said, "The emperor has no clothes." I think all of you understand as much as I understand about what's going on, but we feel helpless because these are very big issues and we're just one individual, and so we sit on our hands and we don't do anything. So I'm the little guy in the crowd that's going to say, how come the emperor has no clothes? And when I tell you that, I want you to realize that the emperor has no clothes and that we can do something about the problems that we have in our economy if we all work together. So, dance one. Okay, I've broken this down into six sections. The book itself, it's got many more, but we're going to do 6 sections. The first 4 have absolutely no good news in them at all. There's nothing I can say about the economy, peak oil, peak everything, climate change, population. It's all bad news. However, if we're going to have a government that's going to lead us out of this, we can, in number 5, fix our government more easily than I ever suspected possible. And that's the good news. Look at all those trillion-dollar signs up there. That's what our country has done. Now, why have we done that? Why are we trillions upon trillions of dollars in debt? Because our government, our corporations, our municipalities, our local governments, everybody's trying to spend their way out of what looks like an unpleasant situation. Everybody's decided that if we just keep spending money, we can make things better. So we're spending money we don't have, and that isn't doing the job. Now, the worst part of this is the debt in the last 5 years has gone up $16 trillion, and that is almost entirely consumptive debt. Consumptive debt is the worst kind. That's the money we spend to prop up a failing economy. We consume, we remortgage our homes, we go into credit card debt, we borrow student loans. We're trying to say to ourselves, everything is going to be the same. And unfortunately, the world is changing. It's not going to be the same. But to give you some idea about how bad the situation is in the economy, let me tell you what $1 trillion is, because I can't get my hands around $1 trillion. Take a $1,000 bill, something I've never seen, but take a $1,000 bill, put it on the floor, and then start stacking them up. How high do you think you'd have to get before you got to $1 trillion? The answer is an astonishing 69.9 miles. That stack of $1,000 bills would go into the ionosphere. That's money that I still can't get my hands around it. And we've gone into debt, our economy, $16 trillion just in the last 5 years. Go ahead, move it up. Okay, this is an important slide. This is why our economy can never, ever, as long as anybody in this room is alive, grow again at the same rate it has for the last 50 years. Nobody's talking about these things, at least not when you put them all together. So let's look at why the American economy and the older industrialized economies in Europe cannot grow. Resources, we're running out of them. Renewable and non-renewable. We're using up trees, topsoil, water, fish. These are all renewable, but we're using them faster than they can get renewed. The non-renewables, coal. Believe it or not, we've actually reached peak coal in the 1990s. Not the quantity of coal, but the energy of coal. We're done with anthracite. We're halfway through the bituminous. We've got a lot of coal left, at least we do according to George Bush, but it's soft, it's dirty, and it's pollutant, and it doesn't burn as hot. We hit peak uranium, peak phosphate, copper, zinc. Now, when you start to run out of these resources, what do? You go looking in other areas. You go out and you start going deeper and going into further places, and you try to do more to get more resources out of the earth. And when you do, you cause environmental damage. And this environmental damage causes other financial hardships, like the Deepwater Horizon or fracking. This is what we're doing to get the last drops of oil out of the earth. And it's expensive, and it's costing us money. The Earth cannot absorb a heck of a lot more waste. We're putting CO2 in the air and it's changing the environment. We're putting plastic in the ocean and the fish are absorbing it. Financial system is wrong for two reasons. The financial system we have today does not price resources as if they were finite. It prices resources as if they were there, they would last forever, and we could have as much as we want, as long as we want. Resources are priced on a supply and demand basis. Supply and demand does not have a soul or conscience. It's not aware of anything. Supply and demand just is an economic function. If you've got the product, I want to buy it, there's the price. We can't price irreplaceable resources without taking into consideration that they're going to run out. The second problem with our financial system is it's based on growth, and I'm going to give you an example of that in a minute. Our financial system has to grow. When a bank makes a loan, it borrows the money, but it only borrows the principal. It doesn't borrow the interest. So in order to stay solvent, it has to make more loans to make more interest to pay the interest on the previous loans. Our national government right now is issuing treasury bills to earn money to pay the interest on the treasury bills they issued previous to this one. So we've dug a hole that's very serious, and I'm sure you hear people in Washington talking about it, right? Everybody's saying the debt bomb, the debt bomb. Well, it is a debt bomb. Our government debt, and we just went over how big that was, there's only three things we can do. We can repay it in real dollars, we can default on it and become a third world country, or we can print money and have inflation and again become a third world country. In any one of those cases, we must do one of these right here. We must do one of them. There's no other way out of this. And if we do one of them, what's going to happen is the net worth of the average family will decrease. And you may have heard just last week, the Treasury Department reported that the net worth of the average American family has gone down by an astonishing 40%. Most of that 40% was inflated home costs, but we still, all of us know, we're not doing as well as we used to, and we still haven't dug our way out of this hole. The next one is growth requires surplus. You must have surplus energy to grow. A 15-year-old boy needs 1,200 calories to survive, but he takes in about 4,000 a day because he has to grow. The same with everything, the same with the economy. The economy could not grow without oil. And I will show you an example of that. Before we discovered oil, we really didn't go anywhere. We were just, we had oxen and horses and we had manpower and that was it. Oil exploded energy. I'll show you. It gave us so much energy that it's free. The energy we get from oil is free. And humanity has used it for the last 150 years and is getting ready to run out. So now that we know that that free energy is going to run out, you need to understand that without it, we cannot grow. So you take 1 through 8, and it's not surprising that it impacts you in number 9, optimism. Optimism drives entrepreneurs. I've been starting businesses all my life, and I've been an optimistic person all my life. I'm still optimistic, but I don't feel good about our economy. I don't think it's going to go forward. It can't. We're on the wrong path. To get on the right path, we need leadership. We need leadership in Washington. We do not have it today. We need an independent, unbiased, unencumbered, decision-making body in Washington to guide this very large, very complex society. Okay, I'm going to show you in this graph here what growth means to us. You'll notice here the economy is increasing, the economy is growing, and the population is growing. So every year, if you'll notice, each one of these is another year in our economy, and each year is bigger. So if we have a bigger economy every year, what does that mean? That means we have more money. There is more money. Corporations can do things because you know what? Tomorrow's going to be better. Tomorrow's going to be bigger. And that does something which we as Americans have taken to believe is just our right, because it's always been that way. You see this overflow right here that I'm coloring in? You get that as you go up. As every year gets bigger and bigger, you have more and more left over. This is what I would call extra money. This is the expansion, which is allowed because of the extra energy from oil. It allows us to expand and grow and make more. This is why corporations can give you time and a half, double time. Pay for your insurance, pay Social Security, let you take vacations. We think we deserve that. We think that's part of what we earn. But the fact is, if you stop and think about it, we didn't earn it. That's just the extra fluff that the corporation can give back because why? Because they are expanding. Now, that's fine until the economy does this. This is an exaggerated thing, but this assumes that the economy has stopped growing, which in many nations it already has stopped growing. In many countries, in some countries like Greece, it's actually shrinking. Italy, I think, is also shrinking, or maybe not, never mind that. So if the economy doesn't grow, then you do not have these extras. And if you do not have these extras, you can't give them away. And just to show you that it's happening already, look at General Motors. General Motors went out on strike. And then they didn't go out on strike, they filed for Chapter 11, bankruptcy protection. The only way they could come back from bankruptcy was the union had to give back almost half of the wages, 50% of the wages. New hires now only get half of what they used to. They also had to give back benefits. So that's a sign that General Motors has figured out that they don't have as much so they can give back anymore. But here's the second half of the problem. When the economy ceases to grow, everything is fine. We have a reward for effort is a little more even. You know, you do a day's pay for a day's work. You don't have the benefits. But that's okay. We lived that way for many years. We can continue. That's not a problem. Except for this, population. Population doesn't stop growing. Population needs to have an expanding economy. So what you have as the years go by, you know, let's say this is 2008. Let's say the economy slowed down or stopped growing since 2008. And here we are now this year. What are these people? Well, the demographers would call those population overshoot. The economists would call that population overshoot. But you and I know them as some other name. It's called Occupy Wall Street. That's right. These are the young people that have come out of college, that have done everything they were supposed to do, and they come out, and guess what? The jobs aren't there. They're not paying. They can't get the benefits. The world is not the rosy place that their parents, my generation, my parents enjoyed, because the growth has stopped, and because of the reasons I just showed you, it cannot continue. America's not going to stop functioning. We're still going to function, and we're still going to grow. We're going to grow longer and faster than any other country in the world. But we're not going to have the same robust growth that we've had for so long.